Hi, I'm Torstein from Cinema Terror, and let's celebrate the late George Romero with a review of his own favorite movie of his, Martin from 1978. Martin tells the story of what looks like a shy and socially awkward young boy. But as the old saying, never judge a book by its cover, the young boy might actually be an 84-year-old vampire, awkward only due to him rarely having any contacts with human beings, except when he's drugging them up in order to drink their blood. Martin travels to Pennsylvania to live with his uncle and cousin. Martin attempts to give regular life a go and even finds himself in a relationship with a beautiful woman. But can he put his bloodlust behind him and actually change, or is his natural instincts too strong to let him live like a normal human being?
Nosferatu.
It's kind of funny in a way that Romero's own personal favorite of his is in fact not a zombie movie, but rather a vampire movie that sadly not many people seem to talk that much about. And while I might not be someone who thinks that Martin is better than some of Romero's best zombie movies, such as Night and Dawn of the Dead, I would absolutely say that Martin is up there amongst the best work that Romero ever did. Martin is a very quiet, realistic attempt at stripping away the glamour and glitz of the traditional vampire saga by presenting a more down-to-earth portrayal of how the life of a bloodlusting vampire would be in a broken-down inner city of the 1970s.
Please don't. I just want you to go to sleep. Please.
Made for a small budget, even by 1970 standards, of around $80,000, Martin comes to life due to great writing, directing, and of course, acting. He is portrayed very childlike and innocent by John Amplas, who does an absolutely amazing job here and would go on to be involved in several other Romero movies after this, although they're mostly minor parts where you have to look for him if you want to notice him. You are led to believe that perhaps Martin is not even a real vampire, as he does not have any supernatural powers, and the fact that he draws blood out of his victims by first drugging them and then cutting them makes it highly possible that the guy is just affected by childhood, where he was even put through an exorcism by his own family.
Wow, that's really good.
See, it has two blades, a real one and a slip blade. You hold the real one and pull the slip blade up. Things only seem to be magic. There is no real magic. There's no real magic ever.
He's also basically operating as a rapist by drugging women and not only drinking their blood, but also abusing them sexually while they're under the influence. And the entire movie could actually just have worked as well as a serial killer study than as a vampire movie. There's a nice line that Romero and the company is able to balance that makes this movie work on several levels, and it makes the entire experience much more enjoyable for the viewer, and they don't have to resort to cheap tricks like adding a few extra murder scenes in order to keep you interested. The outcast aspect of Martin also suits fine in the portrayal of the city is trying to adjust in. This is a broken environment with poverty and lack of jobs, making it easy for a serial killer, or a vampire, to blend in and take advantage of the desperate situation that the people are set in. Everything adds to you feeling sympathetic towards Martin, even if his actions do say that he's a cold-blooded killer and a rapist.
You remind me of an old cat I used to have. I mean that to sound funny. I had an old alley cat. He used to sit on the floor and stare up at me with those eyes. I really used to be able to talk to that old cat. And he'd just listen and listen till I got it all out of my system. He never said anything either. Never talked back.
The original cut for this 95-minute long movie was actually as long as 2 hours and 45 minutes. But sadly there is no known cut to this film available anywhere, which is a shame, as Martin is a movie that at times feels like it's jumping through time. Especially the ending comes up a bit abrupt, as it feels like they just suddenly one day while filming was made aware that they had to have an ending to the story and quickly came up with one. While nearly 3 hours long would be a bit too much, I'm sure that there was stuff in that cut that could be added to this version we have today to make it even better than what it already is. Just like what would happen with his upcoming film Dawn of the Dead, Martin also has a different Italian cut under the name Vampire. This happened after the success of Dawn of the Dead though, as Italian producer Alfredo Cuomo bought up the rights to Martin and was able to create this cut of this film, adding a score by the popular group Goblin to the mix and cutting it down to a 82-minute long running time. I believe that this cut is an interesting watch, to those who might already have watched the original cut, and I felt in love with it and is interested to see a different version of it. It does remove a few parts of the humanity of Martin though, and should not be your first experience with the film, regardless if you might be a Goblin fan or not. If you for some reason had to be convinced that George Romero could deliver other stuff than zombie movies, then Martin is definitively the one to watch. Not to say that it doesn't have other great films in his filmography, as it does by all means, but Martin is such a unique, tragic story told in an intelligent, nearly arthouse way, that even though it does share similar underlying themes with some of his other films of the time, it still sets itself way apart from his other movies, and nearly all other horror movies as well.
Don't be afraid. You'll just go to sleep. I don't have to hurt you now. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. You'll just fall asleep. You'll wake up. I promise you, you'll be all right.
It was ahead of its time, and it is a film that deserves more recognition from horror fans, and not only from the horror critiques that hold it in such a high regard. Martin is a superb piece of film, and he gets a 4.5 out of 5. So, since the legend himself, George Romero, recently passed away, what are some of your favorite non-zombie movies by this great filmmaker? Is Martin up there for you, or do you have another one that you think gets the number 1 spot? Let me know about it in the comment section below, and please do share whatever else thoughts you might have about legendary and beloved director who will be deeply missed. Thank you.